channel is sponsored by the Orca Supply store. It is literally your one-stop shop for anything and everything you could possibly need orchid related. And they even sell orchids. Use my name code Hillbilly in the code section for a 12% viewers discount. So go check them out, y'all. Hey y'all, it is Paula with Hillbilly Orchids. Welcome back to my channel. I had such a different idea planned for a video for Monday, but guess what? We are back at the Tolumnia again because much decision and much deliberation and much reading. Now, as you know, it's still Sunday. This is still Sunday, but I won't be airing this video till tomorrow. I did that video early this morning. So, if you look, these guys are still wet. So, this is not going to work. Mark left me a comment in the last video. He made several different suggestions because I guess he's not really familiar with my grow space and how I have high humidity. So these guys would fare in a bigger media type situation. And I spray my mounts daily, so it's not like this is not something that, I couldn't also go ahead and spray in the morning along with my mounts. I had tossed around whether or not to mount them. A lot of reading that I was doing did suggest mounting is a good idea. The thing of it is with them is they have to dry out before nighttime. I read several articles. I read Andy's orchids. I read his care on what he does with them. Different places that sell them. I kind of read what they care for them. Of course, the Travelogo blog on Google. I read what they say, and they really, of course, they do go more into depth. But they were talking also about how when they get divided that they do fuss. They don't really like to be divided, so divide them, rarely. They do get a little fussy over dividing them and that kind of thing. And they do say that the roots staying wet too long will definitely kill your roots, and they're not real good about throwing back out new roots very often. These guys do grow kind of slow. So that's another thing that is kind of an issue. So just some different things that I was going over and going along with what Mark said and going along with the fact that Tony sent them in leca. Leca just stays too dry. I would be afraid that in my environment, because I've had it happen before, it requires me to have to water a couple times a day, and I can't do that. That's just not, any of the suggestions. When you go online and you read them, they'll tell you, this is just a suggestion that you need to adapt this plant to your environment, and that's what you need to do. And everybody's environments are different, so you kind of got to do it that way. So that's kind of what I'm going along with is that I want them to stay wet for like an hour, 2 hours tops. This has been 5-6 hours ago and she's still wet. No, that's not gonna go. And see, sometimes that happens. Anytime you get a new plant like that, you could be repotting it a couple times, before you actually figure out what is best for it. Now, Mark did suggest just the large bark, and I had considered that as well. I was like, well, large bark would actually keep wet for an hour or two, along with the high humidity. So it should probably be the better option. So that is what we're going to go along with. We are going to, again, it's the Orca Supply Store media. We are going to we're using the Paragrade Plus bark from Orchiata, and the popcorn perlite and the charcoal, all from the Orca Supply Store. That is what we're going to go along with and use. It should, it should help keep some moisture in the pots for a little while, and then I know they will be dry by nighttime. So that's all that matters. And since we're going to redo them, we are going to try to fit them all in one pot. So that should prove to be quite interesting. So let's get going at it and see what we can't figure out here. Nothing like doing it all over again, is it? I'm going to put some bigger chunks of bark in the very bottom. Yeah, there was a few of us down there. I'm actually trying to, was talking, Bet, she was saying, that she had some, different ideas of what to do and things like that. And I was like, yeah, I guess it's just, I'm not the only one trying to really figure this out. But I just know that this is just staying entirely too moist, and this can't go on like this for this long. These guys do need to dry. So, see if we can get them to come out of here relatively easy. I didn't think I packed them in there very tightly, but seems like it. So they've definitely gotten a good soak for a little while in that media, and that's okay. Like I said, we will from here definitely be changing it up. But yeah, that's just entirely too wet after that many hours. So can't have that. So, and I know, like me and Bet was talking, you get to tend to want to overwater because you think, well, they're tiny roots, you don't want them to really dry out, but these guys you do. So, and I was telling her, I'm like, well, you kind of sort of gotta teach yourself over the years that less can be more, and you don't want to overwater it, because that could be a big mistake. That could be, detrimental to your plant, and of course you don't want that. So she admitted, she said she's a heavy waterer, and I'm like, well, I have my occasions, and I had to adjust my stuff before, and sometimes I still do it. I think I have a pretty decent grasp on it now a lot of times. And see, like this situation, I definitely realized that this was wet too long and that this was going to be a problem. So we're going to fix it. I actually, I had a similar situation with, I had gotten some cucullata seedlings, and I'm thinking tiny roots need tiny bark, and they're seedling. Normally seedlings take seedling bark. Well, they weren't doing very well for me, and I lost several. And Tony actually is the one that mentioned it to me. He's like, put them in big bark. And I was like, okay. So I managed, I finally got to the last point where I did save one, and it's growing in big bark. And it boggles my mind every time I look at that plant. And I'm thinking, how are you surviving in that big bark when you're a seedling and you need moisture? It gets moisture. I water it, but then it dries out so fast, and it kind of doesn't click in your mind as how it should be, because you base it on other seedlings. Like Cattleya seedlings do fine in seedling bark. So I would think these guys are small with small roots. I would think small bark, but I'm finding out, no, that is not the case. So let's go again, guys. Don't this seem like familiar? Deja vu. What is happening? And this is going to be really, really, really tricky to try to get all these in a pot. One pot. That was why I didn't kind of want to do this to begin with. Because of trying to figure out how to hold these guys and pot them. All in a bigger pot. But I'm thinking, hopefully, I've got an idea. We'll see if it works. If I can lean them all towards the outer side of the cup. Yikes. Get back up here. This is where you need like 5 hands to do this. Ah, that one's going to give me a fit. And it's got a little spike, and I'm trying so hard to be so delicate. Hopefully you guys can see too. Oh, it just seems so wrong putting this big bark in here, you guys. It really does. I'm telling you, it just goes against my grain. It does. But again, got to do what's best for them. And if drying out daily is what they need, then that's what they're going to get. Go with a little bit of charcoal and perlite now. Alright, let's see. Now I'm going to have to readjust everybody just a teeny bit again. Using some of the bigger bark pieces again, just so we can get them kind of stable. Yeah, it just does. It goes against what you feel is best for the plant. It really does. I can't explain to you how it feels weird. Especially after going through all of that this morning with, yeah, getting them potted up. The bark, and see that's the thing too, like that one, you know, it's got a piece of bark in front of it. So when I spray that, it's gonna go and it's gonna stay right up against that bark and that root. So the moisture is going to stay there for about a half hour maybe. So then that plant will get to soak it up. And see, that's what you want. But then you need it to dry out. So, yeah. So now it will do that. It will dry out. And I hope repotting these again don't really, like I said, they say they don't like to be fussed with. So I'm hoping that I'm not causing an issue. I hope not. I am kind of, glad though. Like I said, I did kind of want them in the same pot, but, I was thinking, I was going to leave them like that for a while and monitor them and see how they did. But now I'm just, that's over, so I'm definitely just going to monitor them now from here on out and see how it goes. This sounds like it should do better, and especially, for these guys, so and if you see how it does, it leaves a lot of air pockets, a lot of gaps, but it'll put moisture to the root for a little while, and then like I said, you'll be able to I don't know what happened here. I think that root got over that one, but I kind of think I'm gonna have to leave it because it is so tiny. See, just in the amount of time that after taking them out, they appear, the roots are drying. So, it's definitely the right move to redo them, because, that long was just too long to be. And you see that's got a lot of air in amongst those, lots of different gaps. So, and I'll tell you what I'll probably do is I'll probably wait. We'll give this an hour or two, and I'll come back and check it and show you guys, hopefully, that this is going to work out better. And they'll be drier by this evening. So, oops, I don't want to fling that spike around too much. Alright, so hang tight. I think that's how I'm going to leave them. Hang tight, and we shall return. Alright, y'all, we are back 3 hours later, and I think I'm okay with that. It definitely dried out. Until I can, get a little more acquainted with how these are going to be. I'm going to be cautious. Because me and Michael got to talking about, me and Michael McCarthy, and he said, he's like, well, do you like, you don't want to leave them like wet a day, or how, I forget how it was he said. And I was like, well, no, everything I've read says that they should dry out come nighttime. So I don't want to risk them not being dry come bedtime. You know what I mean? So, and especially for right now. And he's like, well, I honestly don't know how you're going to keep it in a pot. And I'm like, yeah, I did notice, in when I was researching and doing, looking at some different things and looking at some pictures of them, they definitely ramble. I definitely, those pieces that I cut off, I shouldn't have, because those were part of the rhizome. So I kind of boo-booed there, and was, a little ahead of myself on what these guys are, their care, and things like that. So yeah, these guys are not, they're not typical orchids. There's not a lot out there on it. So, and like I said, a lot of people were telling me in the, in the comments to leave them, in small bark and pot them. And yeah, I'm kind of like, it's kind of conflicting information. So it worries me a little bit. It does. I'm the kind of person, rather be a little bit safer than sorry. So, basically, like I said, this is what I'm going to do for now. This way I know every evening that they're going to be dry. I can mist them every morning along with my mounts and such like that, and that should be just fine. I do believe more than likely eventually, once it gets established in my grow environment and I see how it's going to react, I will probably mount them. I will show you, there's a couple, I'll put a screenshot up here. There's a couple that were really cool looking that are mounted, that I did come across, during my Google search, and really very interesting how they, how they look when they are mounted. Because basically, like this one here that, this bigger one when I showed you, it's got that little piece that comes up and made this fan. That's the rhizome. So it's really peculiar, compared to what, a regular rhizome of a regular orchid looks like. So, it's different. This plant is definitely different. And it's a learning experience. So, like I said, come along with me and watch how I grow, and we can all do this together and learn from it. And I think it'll be pretty exciting. I really, really do. It is, it is a cute little teeny tiny plant, which is awesome. I do love the little miniatures. I have plenty of them. So I figured this would be a nice one to add to the collection, and on top of the fact that it is pink, which is just amazing. So yeah, so fingers crossed. So now, this is this is the Tolumnia story continues, part 2. So but yeah, and I do, my channel is sponsored by the Orca Supply store. Please go check them out, you guys. Use my code name Hillbilly for 12% viewers discount. They have anything and everything. It's just a one-stop shop for everything orchids. It really is. That is the best way you can explain how much stuff that he has for orchids. He has mounts, he has pots, he has media, he has, you name it, he's got it. He literally does. And he even sells orchids, which is, like I said, you could go over there, buy some things, make get stuff to do a potting, and do stuff to get a mounting, and buy an orchid. It's really great. Like a lot of places you can just buy the orchids, and a lot of places you can just buy supplies. So over there you kind of got your best of both worlds. And he's got some better grow ones that are a little harder to find, so definitely go check them out. So now, with that said, Tolumnia part 2. I appreciate each and every one of you beautiful, wonderful people coming by and hanging out with me. And bye for now, y'all, till we meet again.